Good afternoon, everyone. What an honor it is to be standing here talking with you as you begin or continue your AVID journey to become AVIDized educators. You might be wondering how I was chosen to speak to you today. Well, back in March, I got a phone call asking if I would be the keynote speaker this week. And I thought, wow, that Christmas fruitcake I sent Jim Nelson must have really paid off. Actually, that's not true. I'm here today because not too long ago, I was sitting where you are sitting, bright-eyed and eager. Now, I can no longer imagine a career where AVID and the ideals AVID supports would not be instrumental in my work. I often joke that I drank the AVID Kool-Aid, but really what I have discovered over the last 5.5 years is that AVID has provided a system that allows us all to do what we know education is supposed to do: prepare and inspire every child to be all that is possible with all of the choices and opportunities they dare to dream, and then some. But before we get to that, since we're all in this together, we should get to know each other a little bit better. Those of you who have been to an AVID Summer Institute already know this, and the rookies among us will soon find this out. We are big on getting to know each other. We believe in collaborative efforts, team builders, and icebreakers. We believe that a strong bond in a group makes us stronger and more confident individuals. Everyone is going to need to be able to stand, so go ahead and put everything under your chairs. You're not going to be moving around, you're just going to have to stand, so make sure that your hands and your laps are empty, please. We're going to play a game called Just Like Me. Here's how we do this. I will make a statement, and if that statement also applies to you, then you will stand and say, just like me. So if I were to say that I've been in education for over 10 years, those of you in the audience that also applies to would stand and say, just like me. Very good. See, educators follow directions so well. Then I might say, personally, I might not be married for the first time, but I am married for the last time. So, just like me. Very good. Okay, so let's get started. I would have been an excellent candidate for AVID as a child. I strive to serve every student the way they need to be served. Woo! I know rigor is not more work, it is deeper work. Very good. And I believe all students can succeed at high levels given the right supports. Wow, very good. Thank you so much for participating, everyone. See, we already have so much in common. In 1997, I began teaching freshman English at Parkland High School in Isleta District. In El Paso, Texas. For those of you who don't know where El Paso is, don't feel bad. There are many Texans who don't know where El Paso is. El Paso is sandwiched between Mexico and New Mexico, and you can't go any further west and still be in Texas. And it's funny, but El Paso is closer to San Diego than to Houston, Texas. Isleta ISD is 92% Hispanic. 81% of our students receive free or reduced lunch. Almost 25% of our students are identified as English language learners. And we have schools that are 99% Hispanic. Some of those schools are less than a mile from the Mexican border. Parkland High School is the high school that is closest to Fort Bliss Military Base, so it is one of the more diverse high schools. It's 76% Hispanic, 8% African American, and 73% of those students are economically disadvantaged. You can tell that Isleta is the perfect district for AVID. When I started teaching at Parkland, I felt lucky to be teaching freshmen. I know, young, beautiful, and naive. I have to tell you, though, I've never lost that love and feeling. Okay, sorry. I believe that let me start that over. I have to tell you, I've never lost that love and feeling. I believe that a strong foundation is key to success for all students. So I taught freshman English with joy for 4 years, then had the opportunity to work with struggling freshmen as the mentor teacher through a grant called the 9th Grade Success Initiative. We were able to establish and nurture a system that helped 90% of our freshmen promote to their second year as sophomores, not freshmores. High school people, you know what that is. That's freshmen who don't have enough credits to become sophomores, who like to call themselves something other than freshmen, so they call themselves sophomores. Freshmores. As with college, the success in the freshman year is key to school success and completion. So we were really happy that we were helping kids build a strong foundation. We were painfully aware, however, of an untapped potential in our students. We saw many students who had the ability to exceed in more rigorous courses, but didn't have the skills to do so. Fortunately, our district had an open enrollment program for AP and pre-AP classes for many, many years. What we quickly learned, however, was that getting the students into the class did not necessarily equate to student success. The teachers, I have no doubt, wanted to help all of their students be successful. But we needed to teach them how to teach the kids the skills they needed to perform with our highest performing students. You know, the students who have always been in the most advanced courses, they play the school game with ease. Often, they excel in spite of us. But what was different about these worker bees? Well, let's see. They seem organized. They take and use notes. They ask questions. They aren't afraid to sit in the front. They are confident and involved. How could we get our kids who had the potential to win the game ready to play the game? January 2004, enter AVID. Isleta ISD began exploring AVID. I was still working with the 9th Grade Success Initiative, and my principal, John Williams, came to me and said, I'd like you to attend an AVID awareness meeting with about 8 other people. And so my first thought was, oh, of course he's asking me. I'm always doing everything, and this is just something else to do, and I like being involved, and so I said, of course I'll go, with a smile. As we learned more about AVID, about 2 hours into the meeting, I passed him a note which simply stated, we have to do this. I could be the coordinator. And Mr. Williams wrote back, that's what I was thinking. It seems that was his evil plan all along. You see, as I said earlier, as a kid, I would have been a perfect fit for AVID. I'm sure that my parents loved me and my 4 younger sisters, but they really didn't know how to help us succeed. To be honest with you, they were wrapped up in their own woes. My father became unable to work when I was in 4th grade, but man, he loved the horses. Sometimes I thought we had reserved seats at the racetrack. My mother suffered from alcoholism, and so that did keep her distant from all of us. There were times when my mother and my father would ask me to babysit the neighbors' kids, and I could get paid in food stamps back when they were paper, and that way we could go shopping for the family. And I have to say, I was lucky in school. I never had a teacher tell me that I couldn't excel. But the curse I lived with was being mostly invisible at school. How could I do my best there when I was raising my sisters? But we all have our stories. And chances are, since we are all here today, we had our own versions of AVID. I had Girl Scouts. I know it sounds silly, but for 8 years I had a safe haven. And I had a Girl Scout leader, Mrs. Peggy Love, who provided many of the things I didn't know were missing from my life. Mrs. Love, that name sounds like something you'd find in a children's book, which is really appropriate since she was my fairy godmother. She brought normalcy to my life in many ways and helped me see that the life I had was not the life I was destined to live with. Uncle David and Aunt Ellen were another saving grace. I moved in with them when I was 16. They allowed me to live a normal life, complete with curfews and groundings. I began to experience real success in school since I was no longer playing pseudo-mom for my sisters, and I started to believe that I could be more than I had known. I remember being a junior in high school and getting A honor roll. And what was amazing about that is that I never recall ever getting recognized for my grades. So I know firsthand how a student feels when they bring me their report card, beaming with pride because they had earned honor roll for the first time in their lives, and they were now taking more rigorous courses. I had my version of AVID in some very powerful ways, but as we all know, many of our students do not. Our district applied for and received a grant with the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation to implement AVID. Woohoo! The Parkland feeder pattern, as well as 3 others in our district, were selected to pilot AVID. We put together a site team of ordinary folks willing to do extraordinary things, visited schools in El Paso that had implemented AVID, and attended our first AVID Summer Institute in Austin that year. I am not going to lie to you. I was very overwhelmed after leaving Summer Institute, but I was also very excited. Much was riding on my shoulders as the coordinator, teacher implementing a new initiative at the school, but I felt that part would be easy considering the team that we had put together. What I worried about was the expectations I had placed on myself and our site team to make a profound difference in the lives of our students. Compliance with minimum graduation requirements wasn't going to cut it. Just getting kids through the system, that wasn't good enough. Telling kids they could be or do anything means nothing without the planning, forethought, and skills needed to make those promises a reality. We had to help kids in the AVID classes believe that they could excel in any environment. Our goals were not limited to AVID students. We wanted to change and refine the culture of our school. We wanted every student to know that college is a viable option for them and their dreams do not have to be stifled. In order to achieve their dreams, students must experience genuine personal and academic success. As our first group of AVID students clawed their way through their rigorous courses and struggled with having to play by a new set of rules, they felt the pain of hard work and the joy of success. Renee, for example, earned a 92 on a paper in his pre-AP English class and truly almost cried. He had maintained a solid 78 in that class up to that point, which isn't bad considering it was his first advanced course. After that essay, his grades began to improve, and he ended his first semester in English with an 89. Renee's struggle helped him achieve academic success. He is now in college, majoring in business with a minor in English, and is planning to be an attorney. Jasmine knew that she would have to push herself in ways that she had not imagined if she had wanted to achieve the goal of becoming a pediatrician. When Jasmine was 4 years old, she was in a car accident that caused her severe and permanent brain damage. The reason she wants to be a pediatrician is due in large part to the care that she received after she was injured. This quiet and shy young lady was adamant about being a pediatrician, so she knew that she had to take more rigorous math and science courses, and she had to push and push to make that happen. She knew that she would need this foundation for college. Every tutorial was focused on math and science for Jasmine, and she spent hours working with teachers and tutors. Not only was Jasmine successful in completing these courses, she also learned to advocate for herself and her dreams. Our journey wasn't always pretty, and it was very rarely easy. However, what we were doing with AVID was always good for kids. I knew that I needed to cheer Jasmine, Renee, and the rest of the AVID kids on, but I also needed to be their coach, showing them some tough love as they learned these new moves. For 3 years, I worked with the same group of kids, the original cohort of Parkland students. There were times when I fought with them as much as I fought for them. But in the end, we got to a point where we fought hand in hand for their success. Now, they were playing the game that would get them to the finals. This was never a one-woman show. I had a principal who believed in what we were doing, a site team that believed in kids, and I had the privilege of working with two very strong AVID elective teachers. Erica Gomez and Pedro Espinosa are now both AVID coordinators in Isleta. In 2004, I started assisting our AVID district director, Trula Holstein, at Summer Institute with site teams. I loved the opportunity to work with others in our district, helping them as they plan for the future of their students. I cherished seeing the teams work together, principals, assistant principals, counselors, and teachers, all working toward one goal: getting more middle-of-the-road students enrolled and successful in rigorous courses so that they could attend the university of their choice and be ready to succeed when they get there. 3 years ago, I was encouraged to apply to be an AVID staff developer. I was accepted, and working as a staff developer truly has been a highlight of my career. I have had the honor of working with teachers, and some of you are here today, that have implemented the AVID elective. And this year, I am working with administrators as they begin their AVID journey. It's great being able to work with the newcomers, to be part of building this foundation that can assist thousands of kids. It's a great gig, folks. I highly recommend it. In 2007, I was ready for a new challenge. I had completed my administrator certification. While this opened many avenues, my work as an AVID site coordinator was not done. So I decided to try something new, implement AVID at another high school. I accepted a position at Riverside High School to help implement AVID. That was the year the AVID spread to the rest of the district, all of the middle and high schools being a total of 20 campuses. Actually, I felt like this was my mulligan, my do-over. I was given a chance to get it right from the beginning, having ironed out the bugs of implementing AVID once already. At Riverside, I started working with a great site team. We had recruited the kids, held parent nights, and hired the tutors. However, there were other plans for me. Our district director had decided to retire. At Summer Institute in Dallas that year, our superintendent announced to the 120 people from our district that I would be the new AVID district director. That was 2 years ago. In this position, I now have the opportunity to work with almost 40 AVID elective teachers. They serve over 2,500 students, and I also get to work with teachers that serve all students. I get to collaborate with principals, directors, and associate superintendents. We now have district initiatives that highly integrate the AVID methodologies so that we can serve about 10,000 students. We awarded our first AVID Excellence scholarships this year. We've had 2 graduating classes of AVID seniors, and we have only just begun. I know in my soul I was meant to do this job. I know this has been my calling. Sometimes AVID is more of a roller coaster than a Sunday cruise, but I'm still loving the ride. I learn something new every day. After the first month of teaching AVID, I told Trula, these are the kids I've always wanted to teach. But what I shortly came to realize was, these are the kids I've always been teaching, with all the hopes and all the dreams and all the possibilities that I knew in my core education was about. I now have the skills and the tools to help more and more students succeed at high levels. What more could I ask for? Well, now I have the opportunity to assist others with their goals in serving students. I have learned many lessons as I have worked with AVID throughout the district, city, state, and even the country. I know that students truly do appreciate high expectations. It may not seem like it at the time, but trust me, they do come back and say thank you. I've also been fortunate to see the spark return to the eyes of teachers as they embark on this AVID journey, and have been reminded again and again that we all want to do what is best for kids. People talk about building leadership capacity, and I have learned firsthand the power of that mentoring. Never pass up the opportunity to foster leadership in students, teachers, or other colleagues. Many wonderful people have done this for me, and it's made all the difference. That is something that I strive to pay forward every day. I have also learned that when AVID is implemented following the 11 essentials, the system really does work. AVID also helps establish a school culture of success for all students, so the success of AVID reaches far beyond the AVID elective. And one of the most important lessons I've learned, just because it's not my way doesn't mean it's wrong. And I'm sure that the AVID coordinators from Isleta here in the room today are happy to hear I finally figured that one out. I believe in the power of AVID because I see it work every day, not because it is my job to do so. Best of all, I work so that when I walk into a classroom, it will never again be acceptable that all of the skin in the room is the same color, that a child who is poor is not invited in, and that a student who struggles with English is told they're not smart enough to be in that class. As AVIDized educators, we will fight for our students by making sure our schools no longer accept these biases. I don't know where this journey will ultimately lead me, but I do know this. I am still bright-eyed and eager, and whatever I do, wherever I go, I will help students build a future we can all celebrate. AVID changes lives. It changes our students' lives. It changes adults' lives. It changed my life. It can and will change your life. The right foundation can support the largest dreams. We are all moving mountains with and for our students, for our future. Get ready. Just by being here, you are helping your students build the very foundation to support their dreams. Have an excellent week. Thank you.